Hey guys, how's it going? You know, it's the beginning of a new year. Oh, we completely bald. Yellow Ackie, Reptile. Hey guys, how's it going? You know, I did a couple of these for Russian Tortoises and Ackie Monitors, but I never got to making a Tegu one, which I feel like is really good to do. So let's go ahead and let's do my 5 Tegu Care mistakes that I see all too often. Let's hop right into it. 5 is a very obvious one, but I still see it all too often, and that's permanently free roaming your Tegu. Yes, it's really cool that they are dog-like, even though they're really not, but I guess in terms of a lizard, they're as close as you're gonna get. But essentially, you can't just free roam them. The only places probably even a little bit possible is Florida, and even then, it's, you know, there's a lot of particulars you have to work out. And look guys, I'm not saying you can't free roam your Tegu, but do it occasionally, not permanently. They really need a specific environment that you really can't get in most of the United States. Now I'm not going to say internationally, maybe there's places obviously like where they're from that you can do this and not need an enclosure, but it's just a lot more difficult, and I think a lot of people already underestimate how hard it is to care for a Tegu, that you don't want to add this on. You're just going to have all these problems, all these health problems, and Tegus are really good at concealing their health problems. So take it from me, I've experienced a few health problems that I had to go through with my Tegu. You don't want to go through that yourself, so don't permanently free roam. Make sure you have a controlled environment where you can offer good humidity and have the good temperature range you need. They are not a small dog. Before continuing, I just want to point out this lovely shirt that I have not worn on camera yet. This was actually my first ever Reptile t-shirt that my girlfriend got me. I already forgot it. Hopefully you can see it. I feel really jacked right now, but my lizard's beard is better than yours. If you like this t-shirt and want me to try out getting some more and wearing them occasionally on the channel, make sure to subscribe if you haven't in the lower right hand corner. This was a pretty bad transition, I gotta say. I thought this was gonna be a lot more smooth, but if you haven't, make sure to hit that subscribe button in the lower right hand corner. Hit that bell as well to get more updates as soon as they're posted. Thanks guys. Coming at you with number 4, we have enrichment. Enrichment is essential to the life of a lizard, to any reptile, and it shouldn't be any less so for Tegus. But especially Tegus, they are so socially intelligent and intelligent in general that they are pretty much built for enrichment. You need to include this in their lives. Yes, Tegus are pretty much a lazy lizard. Out in the wild, they don't really do too much. They go, eat, do their hunting, but they spend a lot of time, you know, in their little hide, their wild hide. I don't know what you want to really call that out in nature other than a wild hide, but that's what I'm going with. But in the times when they're not in their wild hide out in nature, they have many environmental enrichment elements out there. They have different vertical distances to climb, tree limbs that are down, rocks that are down. They have to hunt, which takes physical and mental capability. So you have these natural environmental enrichment things out in nature. You should do the same for your captive care and, you know, bring them outside from time to time in the summer if it's warm. That's great for them. Let them get some natural UVB. There's a lot of very easy, non-expensive things you can do for enrichment for a Tegu. Just like my past care mistakes videos, I've done enrichment videos that you can use dog toys for and such for Ackie Monitors and Russian Tortoises. If you'd like to see a Tegu version of that, let me know. I'd be glad to do that because dog toys and stuff like that, problem puzzle solving, that'll work great for a Tegu as well. Moving on to number 3, we have overfeeding. Overfeeding, in my personal opinion, is the #1 problem facing Tegus in captivity currently. It is just too normalized. I see so many obese Tegus and overweight Tegus being posted on Facebook groups and forums, and nothing being said. I know, I probably should not be promoting negative feedback on Facebook and such. There's already too much toxicity on there, but I just think it's too readily accepted, Tegus being overweight. People really need to consider the diet they're offering them and how much they're feeding. How much they're feeding, I think, is the main issue. I don't even think it's primarily a what does their diet compromise issue of. I just said that totally backwards. But while I think the issue is more quantity versus quality, I think quality is still an issue. I mean, you guys seen how many times it took me. I made 2 or 3 videos on what do I feed my Tegu, and every time it's pretty much changed. I had a hard time really narrowing down what was good, and that's what kind of brought me to Reptilinks, is because that mixed in everything I found to be good for a Tegu and good for their diet and nutritionally rich. Otherwise, I always had problems, and it wasn't exactly weight, but it was just different health problems, too high of phosphorus. We'll talk about that in the next upcoming topic though. Offering too much high phosphorus foods is something I personally experienced with my Tegu, and the scary part is, it does not take that much. Now, high phosphorus foods, these are foods that are pretty much your meats. If you're putting in chicken, if you're putting in ground turkey, anything like that, that's high in phosphorus. Now, a lot of people know not to offer too many meats and that they should have a mix of other stuff in there. But the scary part, like I said, is that you could even offer the meat sparingly and it be too high. I was doing a 2-time-a-week feeding with Frap, where one would just be a mix of veggies, fruits, and the other one, the second one during the week, would have the meat. So he would only have meat 1 time a week, and it wouldn't even be that much. It would be half a chicken fillet or less, and maybe like a quarter of turkey, ground turkey breast or whatever. That's what I'd offer, and it was still way too high. I got his blood drawn many times when he was going through that jaw issue that he has, and the phosphorus levels were always off the charts, and it was very concerning. And then the typical response you get when talking about Tegu diets and offering too many meats is cut down on those meats. The veggies, the greens, that's really where it's at, and that's a healthy portion of your Tegu's diet they should be focusing on. When in actuality, studies have shown that up to 60% of their diet in their natural habitat is fruits, which people don't typically think of doing and offer. Additionally, yes, as babies, they eat many more inverts in their diet, and that's a big part of their diet. But it doesn't go away as adults, and this is something I've been struggling with because inverts are typically much smaller than what Frappuccino would notice. But they still have about 10-15% of their adult diet being inverts, and that kind of just disappears for most adult Tegu diets. So there's a lot of variables here, and this causes a lot of issues. High phosphorus levels, obesity, like we just talked about previously. This is where that comes from, and I think the big problem here that causes this is that Tegus have such a range in diet that most typical reptiles don't have, that keepers really are not used to approaching diet this way and being so diverse and really kind of studying the different avenues you can go with Tegu feeding and really what their good healthy diet is. Well, that turned more into a passionate speech, but let's get on to the last #1 issue I see in Tegu care. Yep, #1 is humidity. Now, I know this might feel like a lackluster #1, but I worded this a very specific way. I said underestimating. It's pretty accepted that Tegus need a high humidity level. Pretty much every Tegu owner knows that. But people underestimate it. People think that high humidity is 70% for Tegus, where really, I try to keep mine 80% plus. Now, just like Ackies, I've said, there's always a range, and it's somewhat specific to an individual Tegu where in that range they do best humidity-wise. So you might have a Tegu who does well in 70% air humidity, or even the high 60%, but personally, I think humidity levels are way too low in a lot of Tegu environments in captive care. I keep mine 80% plus pretty much all the time. Sometimes maybe it'll dip into the 70s, but in the hide especially, where it really counts, it could be even as high as 90. And this is really important. I had some rough sheds when I was kind of gearing around high 60s, low 70% marks in the air. And obviously substrate humidity is a different conversation. That has to be even higher, but if you have 70, 80 in the air, that's, you're gonna have a very high substrate humidity. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that typically I think the average Tegu should have 80% plus air humidity. I mean, just think of Florida. If you're in the United States, they have high humidity all the time. Maybe not so much. I mean, they have high humidity in the winter, but it's not insane like the summer. And where do they come from? It's a high humidity environment, very high. So you really got to consider that. And just in number 5, when I was talking about permanently free roaming, that's number 1, why you should not free roam your Tegu. You're going to destroy your house, number 1, if you have that high of humidity in there. Or number 2, you're just not going to be able to provide the humidity levels necessary to keep a Tegu having those fresh sheds. So yes, I think the number 1 here, care mistake, is humidity just being underestimated. Anyway, that's the video, and I hope you enjoyed. I thought these were pretty original points, I feel like, for the most part. I'm pretty happy with the 5 I came up with. But if you have any more to add, do so in the comment below. I'd love to hear from you and hear what your thoughts are. Make sure to leave a like as well. But let's get into a couple announcements before officially wrapping up. Shout out to the patrons. We have Toothy Chicken, Cat and Rick, Darian J, Herb M, Smooth Cat, Angela L, David T, Hex, L&M, and Stephanie S. I really appreciate your support. You guys too can support the channel for as little as $1 a month. Check the top right for more information. Tier 3 gets you on my forehead. We have 2 new tiers too, guys. More rewards. I really appreciate you guys checking it out. And a quick shout out to Reptilinks. You could get $5 off your first order of Reptilinks by using code ProfessorHerp at checkout. We also have a link directly below in the description that applies that code automatically. Reptilinks is a great staple diet for your Tegu. It's my Tegu's main staple diet, but you could also use them for hognose snakes, blue-tongued skinks, and more. Definitely check them out. Code ProfessorHerp at checkout. Alright everyone, I appreciate you watching. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That would be much appreciated. And hey, I got a Tegu video in. I know I haven't done one in a while, so hopefully you're pleased with that. Check out the merch before you leave. That's to the left of my head, right of your screen, in the description in the Teespring link. Check it out. See you guys next time.